If you've ever asked the question, what can a stalker find out about me from online information, then the stalker simulation answers that question. And then generally the follow-up question from that is, how do I prevent it? What can we do? And the risk reset answers that question. So I'll walk you through the stalker simulation to start off with. Stalker simulation can be broken down into 4 sections. Summary of intelligence, self-explanatory, just goes over the data that we can harvest. And then 3 different avenues in which we can harvest that data. So credit data intelligence, that is your spending habits. When you spend money, you, me, everyone, it's logged by the 3 big credit agencies in the UK: Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. When we spend money, it's logged, it's sent to a database. When we spend money, it's logged again, it's sent to the same database. We spend money, it's logged, it's sent to the same database, until they can accurately map a profile of you. And that profile will consist of full name, date of birth, where you live, your email, your mobile number, how likely it is that you still live there right now, where they got the data from, values of the house, who lives at your house, who lived at your house before you, where else have you lived. It's a pretty comprehensive and scary profile, and not many people know that this information that the credit agencies store is then sold on to other bigger corporate companies. Now, they generally use it for fraud prevention, insurance, financial crime, things of that nature, but it is not impossible to get a copy of this by most people. So the first stage is just highlighting the information that can be found in you in terms of credit data. The second is online presence. Obviously, online presence is social media, and the people we work with are social media influencers. So it's not a weird thing if we were to find your social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, wherever you make your money, and have you promote your services and promote yourself and build a personal brand. That's not a strange thing, and that's not what we want to highlight in this phase. We use software which maps a digital footprint. So it will map it by taking usernames, emails, mobile numbers, run it through the software. That software will then scan all social media platforms and see where those contact details are present. So we get a way more accurate profile and footprint and trail that we can follow on someone based on tangible information. And what we're looking for here is the old accounts, the Gumtree. I don't know who still uses Gumtree. Oh yeah, Etsy, old Pinterest, old Pixar, ESPN. You know, it could be things like the old Adobe, when you had that creative bit of moment and you wanted to edit your own videos, but you never use it anymore, but still have sensitive old projects on there. It could be IQ options, financial trading, where you just pondered for a minute and you wanted to see what it was like, but all your personal information is still on there, but it's just in a distant server somewhere we've forgotten about. It could be Pornhub, which everyone's done something similar to that at some point. It's not a weird thing, but sign up for an account, forget about it. Just because you forget about it, the internet doesn't, and it's still out there. It still has your search histories on there, so it's your personal information, still has a lot of data about you. So that's the online presence, and that's the aspects that we look for in that stage. The dark web is the final cherry on the top for this phase, and this looks at information, our information, yours, mine, everyone, that has been stolen when companies are hacked. When that information is stolen, it's generally put onto the dark web to be sold or to be given, and when it's put on there, it's now publicly available information. And this is where you get the smaller, really sensitive bits of data. So TAP Portugal is an airline that got hacked at some point. Data was dumped onto the dark web, includes a lot of people's passport numbers. Coin Trust Exchange, that was hacked. A lot of sensitive data taken from there, i.e. Bitcoin addresses, Ethereum addresses, many other companies. Facebook was hacked, so people's mobile numbers linked to Facebook. LinkedIn was hacked. All emails and passwords are on the dark web. Twitter's been hacked. So we get to see a large range of passwords, IP addresses, could be national insurance numbers, could be location data, could be other email addresses, could be other social media accounts. And all three of these painted together creates a very holistic picture of your real and actual digital footprint and what actual personal information is available about you online. Which sounds fairly gloom and doom, which it is to an extent, and the purpose of this isn't to scaremonger, it's just to state the facts. These are the same steps that we've taken to catch catfishes, scammers, fraudsters, so it's so in depth and it is real and it does get used for real things. But the follow-up from this is, how do we stop this? This is where we use the risk reset. Similarly, the risk reset is broken down into two sections. First is the risk assessment, and that is just taking all the information that we just gathered in the Stalker simulation, and it's giving it a numerical value on the severity of it. There's a few different sort of mini algorithms that we've created that go into this. First one, very simple, can someone find where you live? How big is your attack surface? So how many social media and online accounts do you have? Predominantly, again, looking at the ones that are in a distant server, forgotten about, but still have personal information. How accessible are those accounts by someone? So if we find 43 accounts and we find 4 different passwords, that means we have 172 attempts at accessing an account. So each one of them passwords, each one of them accounts. So how accessible are you? How contactable are you? That looks at the amount of emails, numbers, social media accounts that we can find on you. More so looking at, so if we find emails, we're looking at work. Can we find a personal one? Can we find a side hustle one? Can we find a finance related one? Can we find a throwaway one? Can we find one when you're younger? It's graded on how the different levels of avenues that can be contacted and what those contact details are used for. Social engineering risk looks at the different angles of personal data that we can find. So can we find your address? Can we find your family, your mum, your dad, your sister? Can we find your passport numbers? Can we find your national insurance number? Can we find your date of birth? Can we find your mobile numbers, your passwords? How many different variables of information can we find? We'll give that a scoring system on how severe, and then based on that scoring system, we have the remediation steps. So this is how we can start reducing that number. First things first, obviously, is the credit data agency, the scariest one. So we have templates that we go and we touch base with Experian, TransUnion and Equifax. Basically ask them not to share your data anymore. It's not absolute, some of the damage has already been done, but we start suppressing it from there. We then enroll you into a 12-month monitoring where it's an ongoing process, an automated process where we contact different online entities that may hold your data for marketing purposes, and we get that reduced. You may have heard of things like 192.com, which have like addresses. It can just be small, sort of spammy sites. We get rid of all of them. And then the final part of this phase is the data leaks. Passwords, national insurance, passport numbers. How do we get that removed from the dark web? Well, you can't get it removed from the dark web. Once it's on there, it's on there. But for physically to go onto the dark web and find this information is very, 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 very hard. I can't do it. It's almost impossible. So how we get this information is we go to bigger security companies, and there's only a few that do this, and they scan the dark web, they find all this information, and then they present it in a database, which allows us to query it here. So what we do is we go to those big security companies and we get the data removed from there. So we don't allow any more sharing of the passwords, passport numbers, national insurance numbers. So it just dramatically decreases anyone's ability to ever try and find that information. Then we look at the old accounts. So we give you a direct link to all these old accounts, and then there are guides, just delete me. So this is a free service that they run. So all of these accounts on here are the old ones. We're going to go through them. What do we use and what do we not use? If we don't use it, delete it. And then we go to just delete me. And then this has all the specific guides. So if it's a Pinterest, it'll tell you exactly how to delete it. If it is a Snapchat, exactly how to delete it. And so on and so forth. You get the picture. A few general steps. Change your passwords, multi-factor authentication, and use a password manager. You've been told that a million times, so that's just there for continuity. And then a few steps on email hygiene. How can you reduce someone's ability to steal your data moving forward? and then a 90-day plan of the reduction, where we see the numbers decreasing, and how to achieve that. But if this seems of interest, touch base, video, meeting, email, WhatsApp, phone call, whatever your preferred method of contact is. Thank you very much.